Hello, Rayuya. And MJ. Rayuya, you're not first. Because you said hi and MJ jumped in with the first. Congratulations to you both. Uh, you'll see my face once the ad timer runs out. Um, Hi. And also, Rayuya, thank you for resubscribing. 21 months. 21 months. That's almost a year. That's almost a year. Hi guys. Hi folks. Hi fellas. Hi queerly. 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 seconds, 0 seconds, -1 seconds. Oh, wait, that means I go here. Hi. Hi. Um, it's Taco Monday. Uh, why is it Taco Monday? Well, let me answer that question with a question. What do you think of this weird bread? MJ's living in Tuesday, so MJ, you don't get to participate in Taco Monday. I'm sorry. Uh, hi. Well, the actual reason is in the ongoing mission to take things out of the freezer that have been in there a wee bit too long. We have some sliced pork shoulder steaks. They actually still have a little bit of ice on them. They've been in the fridge thawing for 2 days. Uh, and we're going to turn them into tacos. They still got their sale plastic wrap on them. The bread. The bread is a story, which I will begin telling you. We're going to work on this first. I've got other things I want to do, but this stuff's going in the pressure cooker, which means it's got to get rolling. So I will talk about stuff while I get these guys rolling. The bread. I have talked about wanting to practice bread. Practice just a basic white bread that I can have and eat on the same day that I start making it. So I can be like, I want bread, and then make bread, and then have the bread the same day. My existing bread recipes, the ones that I know that I can do just off the cuff, are overnight recipes, which are very easy, but I have to plan the day ahead. So this was an experiment, a bread experiment. And I learned some stuff from it. It is a very basic white bread recipe. And I actually cut the recipe in half as an experiment, because that's the other problem I have with bread is if I make a full-size loaf, I often don't get to it in time because I don't eat that much bread overall. Probably sounds strange to you bread eaters of the world. I like bread, I just don't eat very much bread. I haven't tried freezing the dough. That is also a thing I wanna give a go. It's a big old bone in these guys that we're gonna try to remove. Before pressure cooking them. Uh, so it's just a basic 300, 500 bread dough. And I didn't want to have to like do a lot of measurements. So I eyeballed the yeast. I eyeballed the salt. I eyeballed a little bit of sugar to wake up the yeast. And that was it. Um, and it's not a fail, but I definitely didn't do it correctly. And I can tell you exactly what I did wrong. I massively overproved the dough. So I made two of those like that guy there. Um, and I ate one of them yesterday to see how it was. It's very dense. It was very dense. Um, and it was dense because I overproved it out of excessive caution. It's winter. It's quite chilly and dry. Um, Dry is also a factor. I'm washing my hands real quick because I want to switch knives. I'm not pressure cooking these guys whole. I'm going to cube them up first, but we're going to bring the pot over for that. Pot. Big knife. Okay. Where was I? Bread. It's chilly, and I know when it's cold, proving happens much slower. So I let it go longer. But also, I put it near the furnace vent so that it would get some warm air to try to, wake up them little yeasts a little bit more. And it was doing both of those things was too much. By the time I got to it, it had definitely risen and the bubbles had over risen and popped. And the whole thing was starting to look a little deflated already after the first prove. And that definitely carried through for the rest of the process. It did rise. It did rise again in the bake, but it lacks. It's flat. It's collapsed on itself, which makes it very dense. So that's the main thing I did wrong. It also came out kind of pale, and I think it would have been better. It would have come out better if it hadn't been quite so flat and dense. Being flat and dense means that there's way more thermal mass, so the surface doesn't get as much of a chance to just get toasted. I also didn't put anything. I brushed it with a little bit of water. I didn't do anything else special to try to develop crust. So, yeah, I learned some stuff. The fact that I went too long with it is actually good because then I can go shorter. Because the goal here is to have a fast bread. Not a quick bread, but a yeasted bread that I can eat the same day that I decide I want to make it. And my worry was that it would be hard to rise that. But the fact that I overproofed it means that I could actually do it faster and get a better product probably. I also didn't try making a loaf out of it. I made two little hoagie things that kind of burst out their own tops, but that's fine. MJ's falling asleep. Good to see you, MJ. You just said it turned Tuesday, so it's middle of the night in MJ land. Good to see you. Take care. Have a nice sleep. Catch you later. Okay, now we're going to get the bits of meat out of this funny shaped bone, which is a funny shaped bone because it's a cross section of a shoulder blade. And normally I would suggest just pressure cooking this on the bone, but I have a specific plan in mind and I don't want to have to fight with the bone in the future. So I am sacrificing a little bit of the meat around the bone by doing it this way. Which is fine, which is fine. If you had a dog, that'd be the thing to give, that'd be the part to give to the dog. I don't have a dog, so I'm not giving that to my dog, but because we don't have one. I'll tell you what, this meat definitely a little worse for wear. It's not even that old, but it must have been like right on the edge when I put it in the freezer. So then an extra day of thawing has kind of pushed it right up to the level where I think some people would say, nah, I think not. I'm going to soldier forth, and if I get sick, I only have myself to blame. Is what's going to happen. Okay, knives away. And this is actually only from September, so it's been in the freezer less time than like the maximum recommends for meats. I just think it was old at the time it went in. The 6-year-old oysters, they were oysters, not clams. Hi, bookwoman. Welcome, welcome. What we have here before you is pork shoulder. Into which I'm crumbling two of these pork stock cubes to really pork it up. We're getting porky. But we're continuing our quest to get stuff out of the freezer. So this is 2 pork shoulder steaks. It was a 2-pack, so they came together. That were in the freezer, and they were a little on the old side when I got them, and they definitely are a little on the old side now. Okay. Clean the pork stuff off. But we're getting these guys started right off the bat because they're getting pressure cooked. because I want them falling apart. So that is, I don't know how many pounds of meat because I did not look at the package before I threw it out. 2 cubes and 2 cups of water. And let's throw in the pepper. Actually, while we're throwing stuff in there, let's throw in a pepper. One of these dry guys. One of these guys. And I think I'm just gonna nestle that in there. For later fishing out. Okay, and then that is going in our pressure pot to pressure potify. The hope, my hope, for cubing them up is that it will hasten the pressure cooking process substantially so that we only have to run it. I'm going to give it 40. I'm going to give it 40. Isosceles, hi. I didn't see you there. Let's get out of the board and start chopping other stuff because we got other stuff to do. I think we're going to have a chill day, but you never know. You never know. Let's see, tomato. Another tomato. A third. A third. Ooh, that one's looking a little creepy. A third tomato, and we're going to get rid of the creepy one. We're just gonna say that the creepy one, which is that one, isn't invited. We're gonna make a sauce, but this guy, he's got a moldy spot there and a moldy spot there. So I'm not even going to try to trim that one off because it looks like it runs through the middle of it. Got a serrano, and I've got a lime. Because I want to make a sauce. A sauce. A saucy sauce. Right, and I'm thinking I'm going to do that, and then, yeah. Yeah, I think we're just going to have a chill. I think we're just going to have a chill. So, let's get out a bowl. So that when I chop stuff, I can put it in a bowl. How's everyone doing today on this, the day of Taco Monday? Therion only eats tacos and drinks beer. Not the other way around. Good to know. No solid beer for you. And no liquid tacos. Well, happy Taco Monday. And I have terrible news. Liquid tacos are on the menu. No, I'm kidding. I don't have any plans for liquid tacos. We could try. We could try. That might be a thing for crazy time when I'm feeling crazy. I've been feeling less crazy these days. I've been feeling less wildly crazy and more like I want to make just nice food since gosh, it was about 13 months ago. I wonder what happened 13 months ago. Taco beer soup. I could do that. Beer cheese soup is already a thing. Actually, no, you've got my wheels a spinning for taco beer soup. Although it would be no, taco beer soup sounds better. I could do that. I could make that work. Actually, a beer cheese soup with taco seasoning, and cumin and onion and garlic and chili peppers, and I want to do like crispy tortilla strips because that's already a soup topping thing, and they go really well with cheese. Um, and a beer as the liquid base, and you would melt in the cheese the way you do with a beer cheese soup. I don't know. That sounds good. That sounds good to me. Well, throw it in the Discord recommendations. Eventually, I'll look at those and actually do something from them. Maybe even before we all abandon Discord. Wouldn't that be neat? Okay. Tomato, chili pepper, and onion. Oatmeal cranberry walnut cookies. That sounds real good. That sounds real good. Yeah, Therian, it's not sounding great. It's also definitely a part of their moves towards going public, which we all knew was going to be a just just the worst, just the worst decision. Yeah, they're never getting an ID out of me either. That's just insane. I'm also not letting them scan my face, because that's all crazy. Um, and they just had a data leak. They just had a data leak in October. I don't typically talk about politics around here. I try to avoid it so that this can be a more of a calm, friendly space. Um, but if you follow me on Blue Sky, you no doubt have come across my quite forceful political opinions. Um, we are on the same page, you and I. Um, uh, but this thing with Discord, they're pushing it out. They're pushing it out hard, and I'm not happy about it. The cutting board, yeah, the cutting board and the baby cutting board of the same type. We thrifted together. They were $20, so they weren't the cheapest thrift I've ever thrifted. Um, oops, my garlic house is empty. Good thing I bought more garlic. It's Oh, we're talking about Discord, not Twitch. I have other problems with Twitch, uh, but they haven't done anything recently. If you missed the news, um, Discord announced this morning that they are planning to implement age verification for all users worldwide. And their chosen methods are submit a photograph of a government issued ID, which is um, insane, but is the same way that the UK has implemented their age verification stuff, and it was insane there. It's also the or do a face scan of your face that you submit to them, and they determine your age based on your face, which is how. Oh God, it's just a bad idea. It's just a bad idea. It is in line with the suite of laws that has been rolling out across parts of the world. It made the news in the UK. It's rolled out in Australia. It has rolled out in several U.S. states, mostly across the South. They want a video. They don't want. Yeah, they don't want just a photo. They want a video, probably so that they can I imagine so they can try to bypass that thing people were doing where they were uploading a picture of the guy from Death Stranding, and it was accepting it. Ugh, So we'll see what happens. They're getting shouted at an awful lot right now over it, and there have been widespread cancellations of Discord Nitro over it. Since they're gearing up to an IPO, damage to their bottom line, actually probably they're super sensitive to right now. I'm not a big fan of the IPO either. Discord has historically been quite good at being responsive to user feedback, and if they suddenly have shareholders, guess who's gonna get priority in terms of who's getting listened to? Ain't gonna be the users anymore. It's gonna be shareholders. We're gonna start getting all that garbage. Like, oh, you gotta make more money. This has gotta make more money instead of just being a good platform for. Yeah. So that's just we keep shouting at him. CEO of Discord absolutely wants to be a crypto tech bro. He keeps getting shouted down because people love his service and don't want him to ruin it. But man, does he want to ruin it. So we'll see what happens with Discord. I think what's going to happen with Discord is they're going to do what it's going to run into the same problems Reddit and Tumblr have had with monetization. That being that the users are strongly opposed to monetization, and trying to monetize the thing just doesn't work. So yeah, go ahead and shout at the Discord people about it. It's not it's the same old thing. It's the same old thing we see everywhere. It's enshittification. It's more enshittification. A thing becomes popular. Which, if you're not familiar with the term enshittification, go look that up. It perfectly describes what constantly keeps happening on the internet to all of these things that we like. Okay. We've got to put the garlic in the garlic house so I know where he is in the future. Maybe Public Outcry can. I think we're going to have to start pushing for laws as well, because some of these have been encoded in law, and that is why they're being implemented. We also need to come down, the people, us, you and me, need to come down very hard on Visa and MasterCard. Because a lot of the stuff that we keep encountering is being pushed on the services we like by them, because they have a monopoly, a duopoly, where they get to basically dictate terms. Yes, the Protect the Children line, which doesn't hold up to the barest tiny bit of scrutiny, but it is the line that they keep trucking out. Won't somebody please think of the children? Literally, Helen Lovejoy from The Simpsons. Won't somebody please think of the children? That's the line. It's being used to justify draconian overreach. Ooh, pineapple juice. You know, 39 cents. We could turn this into like a pastor with the pineapple juice. It's not what I originally planned, but some sweetness might be interesting here. Should have put it in the pot. Hmm. We've gone on a very political route to discussion today, and I guess I'm just going to roll with that. um, it was not very long ago that the conservative elements were strongly in favor of laws restricting the ability of payment providers to dictate content. The concern was that payment providers would restrict payments to conservative causes. But that's been completely flipped on its head. And now, going through the payment providers as an avenue in order to censor stuff without having to actually directly censor those things is not just me speculating that that's the method they're going with. It's been openly said that that is the route that they want to go down. Why payment providers are going along with it, I don't know. I assume some kind of blackmail. Seems like a lot more of the world runs on blackmail than I ever considered. I'm sorry if you wanted to come here for a chill time. We got really political today. I'm melting some lard. We're going to start with some lard. We're definitely leaning into the lardiness today. Lardy lard. Do I have whole cumin? I do. I want to put some cumin in here. Lard has gotten an unfair shake in general. It actually has less saturated fat in it than butter. So even for the anti-saturated fat people who went a little too far, you should cut back on saturated fat. But for a while there, food culture went too far in that direction. It was like, no, none at all. And that's what led us down the trans fat realm. Obviously, lard's less healthy for you than like an olive oil, but it does things that olive oil doesn't do. First of all, if you want some deep frying, man, can it take heat. Man, can it take a lot of heat. Start with our serrano pepper and white onion. No, yellow onion. White onion is for finishing at the end. Actually, I just saw a thing regarding Crisco. I just saw a thing on YouTube, on gardening YouTube, that was, I think, the best use for Crisco I've ever heard. And it is using Crisco to keep your greenhouse warm at night in the winter. Because it's flammable. We're making a no recipe sauce today. I'm just kind of throwing stuff together. Um, it was get one of the big cans of Crisco and sink. He used 3 wicks, so he had to actually carve a little hole out. Um, but sink some wicks down into it, and then light the wicks, and then you just needed some like standard terracotta pots, and you make this like pyramid of pots over the top of the Crisco candle, and it traps the hot air, which causes the terracotta to heat up, but it traps it all in one spot as opposed to having it rise up to the top of your greenhouse. So then it radiates. And there's a little bit leaks out the top because there's a hole in the top. And it's just to like keep the frost off of your greenhouse on those frosty nights. I think it wouldn't handle my winter, but the places, it was like one of the people was in England and one of the people was in like middle Illinois. So they don't get the really like crushing cold, and it was just like keep the frost off in the early spring when you're starting plants and stuff like that, which was great. And you know what? It makes a lot of sense. Crisco's cheap because it's garbage oil. Sorry, Crisco. Make a better product. And it conveniently comes in a big cylinder already. Okay, we're gonna add some salt to that to get them sweating. I also learned what Crisco means, and I forgot now. It's what does the Cris part stand for? The Co part stands for cotton, because it was invented by cotton farmers to use excess cotton seeds from the cotton harvest, which means it's a product of slavery. Which I'm sure the Crisco company would like us to not remember. But yeah, no, I'm on Team Lard these days. I don't use a ton of it because I don't want to eat tons of saturated fat just in general. But I definitely have developed a strong appreciation for lard. And it helps that it's quite cheap. And if you're cooking pork, you're cooking your own pork, you often end up with some rendered lard anyways. Today's came from the brick that I bought of it, but hi Flamingo. Yeah, no, it's not great for marketing. They kind of want us to forget that part. Weird how many things are like, oh, the origins of this are shrouded in mystery, and when you peel back the mystery, it's, oh, terrible. It wasn't a mystery at all. It was just something really, really terrible that you hoped everyone forgot. Right, exactly. That's how I cook. That's how I cook too, Therian. I've got avocado oil, olive oil, We've been using corn oil. I've been using corn oil because I got some on sale. I'm actually not a big fan of it, and I won't purchase it again. I got a bottle for $2.50. So for what it is, it's fine. I won't be seeking it out at full price. I've got a big jug of soybean oil because if I do want to do deep frying, it's the cheapest oil available. In the fridge, I've got butter and lard. I've also got coconut oil and ghee, which both live up here in the room temperature land because they are rock solid. I like peanut oil, but I find it a little bit too expensive. I'm not in the budget realm for peanut oil for deep frying. I think peanut oil is honestly. I mean, if I had my pick of oils, we'd be using a lot more duck fat than we do. Duck fat is delicious, but it's expensive. For deep frying, I think a lard peanut oil blend is an excellent combo. I've added our garlic. Our garlic immediately became very fragrant, so we're going to jump to the cumin. Which also immediately became very fragrant, so we will jump to the tomatoes. Bring the heat down a little bit. We want the tomatoes to turn mushy. There's already salt in this one. I was going to add some lime. Do I want to add the zest? I'm going to add a little bit of zest. I don't think we're going to zest the whole lime. I think we're going to zest part of the lime. Empanada. Oh my god. 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 I'm shouting at you. Hold on. Shouting at you. Oh, I always forget how to spell your real name because I call you Empanada. Bam. We're making no recipe pork tacos. Something reminiscent of a carnitas, but not really. The meat's in the pressure cooker. I'm making us a sauce. I'm making the sauce on the side as a separate thing. It's a no recipe sauce. I'm just throwing stuff together. We talked a little bit about politics earlier, which might have been fraught. How are you? How's anyone who arrived since I last asked, how are you? And of course, what's for dinner? Zest of half a lime. It's Taco Monday. You should have tacos. I'm not going to juice the lime in here. I'm going to save the juicing of the lime for a finishing squeeze. I like a fresh, bright lime juice right on the taco right before you eat it. That's, I think, the best spot for that. I didn't yell at Nada. I shouted. There's a difference. Beer fat. Um, I have never eaten bear. Um, I can tell you that. I've never eaten bear. I know a little bit about it. I know it is very gamey. Um, and oftentimes thus gets treated in such a way to suppress the flavor. I also know, as a wild carnivore, you have to cook it well done, which means there are certain parts that you don't want to eat because they will just dry out into leather. Wild carnivores are full of parasites. You have to cook them well done if you're eating wild carnivores. Uh, I think our tomatoes need a little bit of liquid encouragement. And I don't have... Do I have? That's not tequila. Oh, I was going to give them a splash of tequila. Because it would boil off the stuff. But I don't think I have a little tiny tequila. I used to have a little tiny bottle of tequila, but I barely drink tequila, so I might have given up on it after a while. Darn. I don't think any of my other alcohols fit the flavor bill we're looking at here. They're either too sweet or too heavily spiced, or no flavor. eh, 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 eh. Where the fat comes from in beer. uh, for beer, the fat comes from your belly when you get a beer belly. Okay, that needs a little bit of liquid. We could do, that could, How about the pineapple juice? Do we make this a sweet sauce? No. I was going to put that in the meat after I found it and was like, ooh, pineapple. Because we just want to, I don't know what we want to do. I want to something. I want to put a half a cup of water in there and let that yes, you should always cook it well for safety, but realistically, herbivores have a very, very low parasite load compared to carnivores. And if you want to get pedantic about it, cold treating meats kills parasites. That's how you can get safe wild caught sushi. They cold treat it. I don't off the top of my head don't know that works for the kinds of parasites in a bear. Well, this is a fun dinner conversation. Meat parasites. It's important to know about parasites. Boop. Ah! Dropped my spatula on the floor. I've done cold treating at home because I got some salmon from the grocery store that was not listed as a sushi grade, and I wanted to make gravlax out of it. So I looked up the procedures for cold treating. But really, yeah, you shouldn't really eat carnivores in general. We do it with fish mostly, because of the way the fish food chain works. There aren't very many large herbivorous fish, and we like eating the big ones. But yeah, they're not the best. I should taste that so we know what we're working with, because I'm still making adjustments. We're still in the flavor adjustment phase. Spicy, tomatoey. Whew, spicy. Ooh, yeah. Whew. Okay, it's very spicy. It's got a strong spice element to it. I think it could use some acid to knock that down and some sweetness to knock that down. I think it's gone a little bit too far. That Serrano is giving it a bite. Brown sugar might be a good call, or even just some molasses. Ooh, okay. Good thing I tasted it now, while it's liquidy enough to really still infuse stuff. The pineapple mango juice might be the ticket. What have I got in here? Okay. Sweetness, acidity. Fruit juice. It wants just a shot of fruit juice. Ooh. Let's see if I remember what this stuff is. Yeah. Yeah. This stuff. This is homemade cider. Should have deglazed the pan with that. Forgot about that guy. That would have been what to use in place of the tequila that I couldn't find, that I didn't have. It's very clear because the sediment is all settled. You can't really see it because you're looking at the top of it. So it's very clear up here because the sediment is all down here. So we're going to be a little bit gentle with it, but I'm going to pour myself out a little bit to taste because it's been a minute. Oh, that's very good. That's our acidity too. It's dry. It's a very dry cider. Which means we're still going to have to add some sweetness, but that's our acidity. How old is this? It's from 2024, so it's not that old. I did forget it was in there. I'm going to give a shot of it to our sauce. I'm going to give a shot of it to our sauce. But gotta remember that guy's there. Nope. And tipping it up dislodged some of that sediment. So he's going back in here to resettle. It's very nice. We made that from my friend's neighbor's apple tree, because they didn't want the apples. And the apples were not good eating apples. They were very sour apples, which makes for great cider. The sediment is probably dead yeasts mostly. So I could filter it out. It's alcoholic enough that it definitely killed its own yeasts. It's quite nice. It's sharp and dry. It's sharp and dry, which is the reason we wanted to make our own, is because it's hard to find very dry ciders in America. They exist, but they are definitely a distant distantly trailing the sweet ciders, the sweet alcoholic ciders. I'm going to add some sweetness as well. I'm going to add some molasses direct, which is going to make the sauce here much darker. Slow. But should give us some fun complexity. Molasses is sweet and bitter. And bitterness, in moderation, works really well in sauces. It's the foundation of the mole, after all. Unsweetened cocoa, because unsweetened cocoa is bitter. I don't know what nutrition is in that bit of the thing. But yeah, now that I've popped the top on it, I should probably, I have to remember it, use it. Oh, what are we at? We're an hour in. 5 minutes left on my pork. Our sauce has turned a tad brownish. From the molasses. I like molasses. I've talked about how I don't buy brown sugar these days at all, because I buy molasses. I always have molasses on hand, and I get white sugar. And if I want brown sugar, I just combine them. But more often, I just reach for the molasses and skip the white sugar part and just go with that directly. It's just real nice. It's still sweet, but it has a lot more complexity and a lot more. It's a lot better for you. It's got all those nutrients in it. In addition to the sweetness. Okay. I do want this to kind of cook to death, but let's give it another taste. Still very tomato forward, which isn't a bad thing. Still spicy too. Oh, that Serrano is still giving it a bite you back. Ooh, it's definitely more of a rounded flavor at this point. I think I'm going to give it a little bit more acidity directly. I still think it needs a little bit more sharpness. Although I'm going to be adding some lime to the finished tacos, but just a little splash of apple cider vinegar since we're already in the apple realm. Ooh, boy. Probably should have seeded out the Serrano. Definitely no more spicy ingredients in here. And it'll be less intense when it's used as intended as a sauce on top of the fatty meat in a tortilla with lime juice. It doesn't have to be. Sauces are meant to be too strong when eaten by themselves so that they are balanced when you eat them with the stuff. That's just how sauces work. Let's see. Oh, okay, well, that one's over the hill. So I've only got one cheese on hand then, because I just had to pitch that one. Little sausages. I've got crema. Okay. Do we do a cheese or do we do a table cream? And we need to warm up tortillas and slice onions. Still got other things to do. Easy parts, but other things to do. Tomato is the sauce. The sauce is tomato. Get out the serving device. I've got one of these. I think 6 tacos is too much, but the middle part, unfortunately, you can't use it upside down. I would like, if those bars weren't there, just to do 3. Well, we've got time to think about it because we've still got more things to push through here. Because the pork's about to come out, and then I'll start playing with that. Because it is not as going to be as simple as just take it out and it's done. I want to deal with it a bit more. And that's the beep. And that's the beep. Oh, you guys are over there. So, let's let that guy gas out real quick. Ooh, I'm going to walk away from it for a moment because it's quite loud. Let's see, I could do... No, we're going to do white onions. White onions and parsley, I think, is the... it's either that or white onions and scallions. And I think scallions is too much of a double up on onion. Oh yeah, and I want to get a lid that fits this pan. No lids fit that pan. None lids fit that pan. Oh, I'm getting a pan. Getting a pan from the other room. You know, as much as I've poo-pooed this thing, I do end up reaching for it. It's got a good shape for certain items. Smells like pork fat in here. Playing with your pork on stream is against TOS. Oops. Guys couldn't see any of that. And that's also not where I wanted us to go. Moved the sauce to the back. Probably hit that with a blender. It's starting to thicken up. We're losing our juices. This guy. This is the Hexclad that I got for $5 and have been routinely disappointed in. I think that's going to be the thing I use to finish the tacos themselves. Because I've been looking at how to do tacos. Because I want to do better tacos. Please don't play with your pork on Twitch. Okay, we're going to get... We're going to get a bowl. See if you can find a bowl. We are removing that pepper that I put in there. Setting that aside. We don't need that bowl just yet. We need a colander. We're gonna do a thing that involves boiling hot pork fat. So let's get out containers that I know won't mind having boiling hot pork fat dumped into them. And dumped out of them. So this pot. That one. Oop, that burner is on. That burner cannot be used right now because that burner is on. And it shouldn't have been left on. Do I need to do this with a colander? How soft are these guys? You can't see them at all. They should be just fall apart, melt soft. Oh my God, they are. They super are. They're super, super tender, which is what I wanted them to be. I'm trying to talk myself into saving dishes. Into not having to wash a colander and an additional pot. What container do I use? What scooper do I use if I want to do the scooper? And what pan do I use? So many questions. Okay. I haven't gotten that one or that one dirty. We're going to use that pan. We're going to bring our cooked pork over yonder, because I think I can just scoop it out. It's super, super tender, but it still has a little bit of hold on itself. Enough that I can get it out of there with the scooper. Because I would like to save the pork fat, the lard, in that pot that we have rendered out by this process for later use. But there's also broth in there. The broth we don't want mixed in with it. I actually wanted to get the broth in the sauce. Okay, this. Our rendered out. I do not have a fat separator, which is why we're being a little bit awkward about this. Normally the way I separate fat is I let it cool so that the fat is solid, and then I pop the solid chunk of fat off the top. Done. Bob's your uncle. We can't do that in a timely manner this time. I could just say I don't need it. There's already lard in our sauce. Just a little bit, but it's already in there. But no, a fat separator is one of those things I don't have. It's one of those things that you never find at a thrift store because they just break. You don't get one that's like, oh, I don't feel like using this anymore. They break, so they don't get dropped off. Okay. Okay, I'm changing up my mind as to what exactly I want to do. On the fly. What we're going to do is we're going to put this in the oven and broil it. That has thickened quite a bit. Where's my taster spoon? Let's give it a taster. See how we're doing. still pretty tomato forward. The spice has eased off. It's still there, but it's eased off, which is good. Okay. While stuff is broiling, we will just get this out of the way. My oven is making the sound that it makes when the broiler comes on, which is a loud, concerning ticking. Definitely some kind of metal expansion goes on when you turn the broiler on. At least I hope it's metal expansion and not arcing. If it's arcing, then we have to replace the oven. What was I going to do? Oh, I was going to do this. Take out this guy. Take out our knife. Remove his head. Chop him up. Chop him up, add him to the sauce. He's got a little bit of pork fat and a little bit of the broth with him. Ooh, and he wants to stick to the board. Because the flavor we didn't have in our sauce was a smoky flavor, and I didn't add any smoky flavor because I knew I was going to add this guy. And I wanted to leave him whole initially so that I would be able to fish him out so that I could chop him up and throw him in the sauce. Now, the sauce was a little bit spicier than I initially anticipated, and I still did this even though I know that that is a spicy pepper in addition to a smoky pepper. But come on, when you're making Mexican food, you got to put in multiple peppers. You got to do that multi-pepper complexity. That's like half the fun. Okay, we're broiling in there. We're gonna see how that does. I'm hoping to get some browning on the top of our meat. Little crispy edges hopefully without completely drying it out, and we'll bring it back up to the top, play around with it. I want this sauce to become a blended sauce. So we're gonna have to get out the stick blender and do that. Which is over with me. Although I'm not blending this until I get that pork out of the oven. Which we're going to do, I think, now, because I don't trust it to not go too far. Yeah, that worked. We got a little bit of color on the top. They're looking a little tiny bit dried out, but that's to be expected. And then, was I gonna add fruit juice to this? Here, this is what we're gonna do with this stuff now. We're gonna put the heat back on. Put in 1 scoop of our stuff, which is mostly fat on the top, so mostly fat. Whoop. That was dumb. That was about the dumbest thing I'd done. That was about the dumbest thing I did for a while. I touched that handle that had literally just been in the broiler. Fortunately, it was not broiling hot, but boy, it sure could have been, and I didn't hesitate. I just grabbed it. Okay, these pieces are so tender that I can break them with the spatula, which I'm going to do just a bit, so they're not so cubey. We just spent that time getting them super tender, and now I want them less tender. I should also taste them right now. I should also give us a taste. Flemish. Flemish. 19 months. What have I done to deserve this treatment? Thank you so much, Flemish. My back was turned. I didn't see you come in. So, I'm going to cook this. We're going to cook this now. Probably didn't need that broil stage considering I'm doing this. But essentially, I want to cook some of the liquid back out of this and get these guys like right on the edge of turning crispy. I suppose what I should have done is this and then given them a shot right at the end with the broiler to crisp the top. I don't know. We're shortcutting carnitas is what we're doing. Real carnitas is slow simmered. It's a braise. Real carnitas is a braise. You simmer it long and slow until it is fall apart tender, but the top of it gets crispy because it's exposed to direct heat. So we're just going to play around. So while that's getting rolling over there, we're going to come back over here. We're going to blend this sauce. How's it going, Flemish? How are you? Good to see ya. Jay. Jay. Hi, Jay. It's Taco Monday, Jay. Where's your taco? Homemade KFC bowls. And Therian just made carnitas yesterday. But your version is simply boiled in lard. Well, it's supposed to be slow simmered in mostly lard. But then it's supposed to be finished under some kind of direct heat to get little crispy edges. It's a both. It's a both type of thing. And I know it's a lot more work. And I shortcutted mine. I would have done it in just in its own fat, but the pressure cooker, since I wanted to do it fast, the pressure cooker needs water liquid to get working. I have been thinking about doing it the traditional way, or even just putting it in a slow cooker and letting it bruttle away for an entire day. Because I keep seeing pork shoulders on sale. We're in pork shoulder on sale season, I think. You still hot? No, you're cooling off. Our pork has picked up the liquid that was in there, and I am going to probably call that good enough. It does not want... I'm not going to sauce it directly. We're going to sauce the taco that it goes in. So, that part is done. That part's done. Burner off, broiler off. Sauce is over here. Over on this side with the sauce. This sauce is thick. Thick. Thick with a Q. But we should give it a taste. Oh, it's spicy. Yes, absolutely. Now, I was planning on throwing that pepper in there, but man, did that pepper change the change the character here. It gave it smokiness. It gave it some fruitiness and some depth. I'm glad I didn't add any of the. I'm glad I did not add this. It didn't. It doesn't need this. We can use this some other time. Whew. I got a kick to him though. Ooh. Whew. Whew. Okay. We've got taco shells, cheese, and crema. And I have a plan. And I have a plan to do this. The only cheese I've got available is Colby Jack, marbled Colby Jack. I thought I had a little bit of Gruyere. Because I picked this one up and I was like, oh, that's looking pretty good still. And then I turned it this way and there was that green spot, and I turned it this way and there was another green spot. So I'm gonna be like, nope, not dealing with that one. That one went. We lost that one. Just a little nubbin at the end, but still a bit of a tragedy. So the only cheese we have available is Colby Jack. I have nothing else. I have a little bit of Cotija. But Cotija is not a melting cheese, and I want a melty cheese for this. So we're going to grate some cheese. We are going to slice up one of these baby white onions. We're We're using white onion for our topping onion. We're going to use some parsley because I want something green. And think that cilantro tastes nasty. Also, the parsley needs to get used because it's going a little bit limp on me. Limp. Not use the stems today. By a little bit limp, I mean very limp. No, the as much as I'm just kind of doing fun tacos, I do actually have an experiment that I wanted to do today. The problem is it's the last thing. It's the very final step. Come on, come on. There we go. I suppose technically it's the second to last step because it deals with the tortillas. It's a thing that I literally saw someone do, partially visible in the kitchen of a Mexican restaurant, and was like, oh, that makes sense. The part that I could see. I should try that. I'm going to attempt to do the taco shells in the way that he did them in the kitchen of the Mexican restaurant. Which was, now he was working with a flat top, which I don't have. But I do have this thing and I've got a lid. So he was working with a flat top and a metal cloche. So I'm going to work with this griddle and a glass lid because all of my metal lids aren't domed. And none of my metal bowls have a handle, and I'm definitely going to want to be able to grab this. And we want to have things ready to go before I get that far. So we're going back over to slice onions. And the question of how many tacos am I making? And I'm pretty hungry, so I think we're going to go with 4. it wasn't a light lunch, but it was all noodles. It was entirely rice noodles, which did not stick with me. So I've been kind of hungry. I actually had a snack just before I started stream because I was already getting to the point of being uncomfortably hungry. So I had peanut butter crackers, which are an excellent snack, by the way. Just a couple of them to get me to the end of stream. And as a result, I think we're going with 4 tacos. Normally I go for 3 tacos. I think 3 tacos is the ideal taco number. Okay, white stuff, green stuff, red stuff. White stuff, green stuff, red stuff. That, a lid. And the and the taco holder. And something to put under the taco holder so that when I put tacos on it that are drippy, they don't drip onto the burners and cause a fire next time I turn that burner on. So the plate that does not quite fit the taco holder but is close enough. Grate the cheese because we want to put the cheese in. I don't need a ton of grated cheese, but I need some of grated cheese. Okay. Okay. We are, I want all the accoutrements ready because I want to assemble these while they're hot. I think that's part of the trick. Because we're using corn tortillas, and historically, I've had bad luck with corn tortillas at home. They tend to be quite brittle and break. But whenever I'm at a Mexican restaurant, they use corn tortillas. They're amazing. So I'm like, what the heck? They're not making them fresh right there when you order them. They're using ones that they made before. Sometimes they're making them the same day, but so these tortillas are from a local Mexican grocery store that makes their own tortillas in-house. So I know these are, relatively speaking, fresh. They're not those old stale ones you get at the normal grocery store that have been on a shelf for months. And I've tried steaming them, and I still have problems with them breaking. I'm just getting them all nicely separated before I start. I'm not just cooking them like this. We are double shelling them, so I've got 8 shells out. 8 tortillas. Now, what he did was he reached over, counted out a bunch of tortillas, and he dipped the whole thing in a little pot on the side that I thought looked like oil, could have been water, probably was water. But I bet you there's oil on the griddle because he put them right on the flat top where he was cooking the meat. So that's what I want to try doing. I'm going to try using this as my flat top griddle, and I'm going to cook my tortillas right there. And the thing is, they came out, when I got them, they were tender in the middle and crispy on the edge, which is why I thought that they were dipped in they were not just dipped in water, but some fat, because that would help them crisp around the edge. So I've got a pot of fat, pork fat right here, and juice. Let's get this pan going. Soaking them is not what we're doing. Because it was just a swipe. Anyways, we're testing it out. That's what we're testing out. This thing that I literally just saw somebody do a thing and tried to interpret what that thing was without proper knowledge of it. Isosceles wants us to soak the tortillas. Isosceles is, of course, some kind of a monster. So what I'm doing is I'm giving them a dip. We're going dip. And he just did a whole stack of them. So I'm doing a whole stack of them. Like that. Anyways, that's our experiment. This part is the experiment. All the rest of this was like, oh yeah, that's going to be delicious. This part, this is the experiment. If this fails, for some reason, if this is an abject catastrophe in any way, I have flour tortillas ready to go, so I will still have my tacos, regardless of what else happens here. Where are the potato olays? Isosceles, you are a monster, but also, man, I could go for some potato olays. Those things are great. Oh, clearly wants a moisten, because of course we are moistening the tacos. Moist. Can't call this Taco Jovial. It would be Taco Jovians. I see liquid leaking out the sides, and I can smell sizzling. Again, this was done on a flat top, which I don't have, so this might not work without a flat top. It also might not work with doing a whole stack of them like that. That might also not be the best idea. But it's getting steamy in there, which is good. Now he did this while he was freshening up the, actually, the meat should be also on hot so that it's not getting cold, because it wants to go in those tortillas hot as well. We need the tongs for it. But he was doing the meat on the side, and then he reached over and he slapped down to the stack of tortillas, put a lid on top of them. He dipped them in something, put a lid on top of them, and then I lost sight of what he was doing, and then I was presented with beautiful tacos. Which is the extent of my knowledge of this process. Meat, taco shells, dip, beautiful tacos. We're sizzling. That's our bottom taco. And then I'm pretty sure you do this. You go meat, cheese. I see. Okay, I know what I've done wrong. I know what I've done wrong. It's not correct, but I know how it's not correct. Okay, that one does not work that way. That one's got to be that way around. We're doing it this way. I'm not looking at whatever you guys are saying because I'm paying attention over here. These want to stick to this pan a little bit. Once again, Hexclad has let me down. It is not the superior pan that it tries to pitch itself as. Okay. This. This, like so. And then we get under one of these guys. Make sure his filling's not, no, don't fall out. Make sure his filling's not falling out. His filling's falling out. Grab the edge so that it drops into the taco holder. Turn the heat off over there. We don't need that one to be on. Ah, that one got too stiff. Okay, this is a time-sensitive matter. Ah, Jesus, that got hot. Okay. Heat off, heat off. I gotta save that one. The bottom got too crispy on that one. It didn't want to fold in half. It just wanted to fall in. How do I get that out of there without making a mess? Everything is so hot over here too. The The tacos and their holder are moving over with us over here because it's not as hot over here, and I need to not be hot right now. Okay, this guy fell over, but he's salvageable if we just believe. Got him. He's the worst looking one. But that's fine. I really loaded these guys up too. I may have overloaded them. I may have overloaded them a smidge. Okay, that worked. I would do it differently next time. But I understand the process. This guy is going to be a trouble. I'm going with raw onions today. I want the crunch, but I know not everyone likes raw onions, so fair enough for you. As we say, to each their own. Do we say that? Do we say that? I don't recall ever saying that. Parsley. Yeah, that one's a little sad. That one right there is a little sad. Yep, it's structurally, none of them split at the bottom. So that was the goal. That was the thing that I always had a hard time doing, is that they want to split. And none of these split. So we successfully got them in there. Because I've had that happen before, where I steamed them, like, steamed the whole stack, so they were all nice and pliable, and they still freaking want to split when you put them in the thing. Which is why I wanted to try this with the griddle top. And I was gonna use our new griddle, the crepe pan, because it's the perfect size, but the lid didn't fit. I was gonna use our new crepe pan, which I did wash. It's got water spots on it now from me having washed it and not properly dried it. Delightful. I'll have to clean it up again. This was supposed to be, I was going to use this today, but the lid that I wanted to use, because I wanted to steam these guys in a lid, didn't fit. And I didn't have an appropriately sized lid. But now, having done it this way, I think that I shouldn't have the lid and I could have used the thing. Oh, are you? It sounds like you shouldn't eat raw onions. It sounds like you might be allergic to the raw onions. Don't want to alarm you. Anyways, we wanted to do both cheese and crema. Also, where has this stuff been all my life? How did I not know that the Mexicans perfected sour cream? Stuff is magical. Oop. 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 There's cheese on the bottom of my plate because there was cheese on there and the plate got warm. Okay, well, you can't see it from the top. So we're just going to set down the trivet so I don't get it on the table. And do it anyways. Anyways. This is our thing. I'm going to go take a picture of it. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to probably eat that cheese. But you can't really see what's in the tacos. I really loaded them up. I'm just going to call it Taco Monday. Okay, photo taken, returning. Oh, now, that's fine. You can't see that part anyways. I am going to put lime juice on them before I taste them. I did say I was hungry, and I am hungry. When you requested that moisten, I had an extra big drink because I'm hungry and my stomach just wanted more of the water because it filled up a hole. Just get the onions out of the way. Out of the way. Oh God, there's cheese all over the place. Okay, this guy temporarily moves. Because there's cheese on the bottom of this bowl. Because the plate got just warm enough to melt that cheese. Oh no, these are big boy tacos. These are chonker tacos. These are heckin' adult tacos. These tacos are roaming about town getting jobs. The only thing missing from my photo is the lime wedges, because they would just be on the plate. Because here they are. They're paying me rent in delicious tacos. Okay, squeeze out a lime right on top of that guy. And dig in. Well, the taco shell is extremely pliable because it kind of folded over on itself. Mmm. 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 You know, it needs more red sauce. Fortunately, I've got loads. It's a little undersauced. I was hesitant because that sauce has been kind of kicking me in the face when I was tasting it. But I kept saying, well, it's supposed to be strong because you want it to balance out with the stuff you put it on. And then I was hesitant, and I shouldn't have been. Load it up. Thanks, Jay. As with everything you see in my entire life, I got it at the thrift store. I keep washing my hands after every bite because of the it's greasy. Okay, so these are the best corn tacos I've ever made at home. That technique paid off. One of the layers being very soft and one of the layers being crispy gives an excellent texture contrast. Doing them all in one big stack was definitely kind of a mistake. Doing them in just a stack of two and making that taco right away, as soon as the bottom one starts to crisp up, that's the way to go. That's the ticket here. And I think I will be doing that forever because it was very easy. And I obviously dipped it in our pork drippings today, but I think a little bit of oil is necessary. I do think he was giving them just a dab of oil. Probably just had some vegetable oil on the side. In order to get that outer one to crisp up. That was the thing. I'm not even talking about the flavor. I'm just talking about textures at the moment. That was the thing that was when I had the taco after seeing him do that was like, oh, it's soft in the middle, but it's crispy on the edges. And the crispy on the edges was what had made me think that's got to have been some oil. As for flavors, this is rich and porky. Very pulled pork forward. The pork is just like salty, rich, and meaty. It needs other things. It's just kind of richness by itself. It needs other things, which is what all the toppings are. It's got heat. It's got acidity. It's got it didn't need the crema. Honestly, it didn't need the crema. There's plenty of fat in this. That was a little bit extra. The little bit of sweetness complements it well. Pork has got a little bit of sweetness to it to begin with. This complements it quite well. The smokiness, which we didn't get any in the actual pork because of the way I cooked it, but it's in the sauce because of that one pepper. That's another thing I've learned about Mexican cooking. The peppers aren't about heat. Many of them have heat. Many of them bring heat to the table as well, but the peppers are about constructing flavor, which is why there are so many different ones that seem similar, but you build them on top of each other and you build these complexities of the flavor out of just peppers. That was one of the big ones. Like looking at all these different peppers. Why do we have all these different peppers? You don't use all of them at the same time, but you use probably 4 of them at once. This is very good. This is very good. I'm extremely pleased with how these tortillas came out. Knowing this, I would like to try making my own tortillas at some point from scratch. Because I was hesitant with making my own tortillas for the same reason of I didn't want to go through the effort of making them and then have them just split in half and be ruined. Coming out really beautifully like this means that now I'm confident in doing them the real way. Um, yeah, no, I'm all around extremely pleased with this. I would serve this to people. I would serve this to other human beings, and they would be like, these are good tacos. And I'd be like, hell yeah, they are. Hell yeah, they are. Um, yeah. So, I guess I'm going to wrap us up and eat these tacos because I'm starving. Um, Next time is goat. I don't have any goat, although I know where to get some. I know a guy. Uh, I had looked for. I found goat because I was looking for goat because I ran into a Nigerian recipe that called for goat, a goat stew, and I was like, ooh, but I can't. It's hard to find. It's very expensive where I live. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up so that I can eat this while they are still hot. So the inaugural Taco Monday, big success. Big success. I did the thing that I set out to do, which was learn the the corn tortilla technique. Um, and then everything else was just playing around. No recipes today. Um, you, if you want to know how to make the thing that I made, you just watched me do it. I didn't pay attention. I hope you did. Um, let's write out. Let's see who's on today. It's, of course, Monday, the same day. Oh, and I need getting the little horns again. I need to give the trim. Um, Whomst is on at this, the day of today. Earth Toast is on. Whoa, it's National Pizza Day. Oh, my nose is running a little bit. Earth Toast is making sheet pan quesadillas. Marry Me Chicken and Orzo. What do you guys think? Where are we going? If you have no opinion, I'll pick one. And no, we're gonna. They're rolling out dough. And we're doing it again. We're going to see Room and Board. We're going to see Chef, who was just a second ago rolling out pizza dough. So that's where we're going. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for tolerating my nonsense. Thanks to Rayuya and Flemish. And I've got the thing covered up. Oh, just the two. I thought there was a third. One of you is such a huge presence that you felt like two people. I'll let you figure out which one. Yeah. So that's where we're at. I've got leftover pork. I can make myself a pork sandwich with this little bread. Yeah. I think I'll have time the end of this week for a bonus stream. I think. So, you know how I am. No promises. Keep you posted on the bread. I need to try doing bread again because we want to get practice on that bread. Yeah. That's all I've got to say.